So to take us on the first session for today, we have a very, very profound individual, a man who has achieved a lot of things at a very young age. And of course, he'll be taking us on 2024's achievements, failures, and discoveries, which is the first session. I'd just love to quickly read his profile before I bring him up on stage. Kennedy Ekezie, a visionary leader driving impact in Africa. Kennedy Ekezie is a visionary leader with a decade of experience in technology, consulting, and development. He founded Keeper to empower Africa's 100 million plus small businesses with digital tools for sustainable growth. Before Keeper, he led TikTok's entry into Africa, contributing to its growth to 100 plus million users. Kennedy was Nigeria's top debater from 2015 to 2017 and has been recognized by global figures like Queen Elizabeth II, President Obama, and David Beckham. He's also the founder of Limitless Club, empowering young people, and a speaker of the United Nations, TEDx, Forbes Summit, and Fortune 100 companies. What an amazing profile. Ladies and gentlemen, with a resounding round of applause, let us welcome Mr. Kennedy Ekezie for the first session for today. Please keep clapping till he comes up on stage. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Manuela. Good morning, everyone. How is everyone doing today? If I knew you were going to read the bio, I'd have sent a much shorter version, so sorry to torture you guys with that. But we're here today for very, very serious business. Maybe before we even start, I see there's a second microphone. 2, 3 people, why did you come here today? Like, don't you have better things to do? Why are you here today? Do 1 or 2 or 3 people want to? Okay. Saying your name would be nice.
Okay, hello everyone. Good afternoon. Or good morning, I'm not sure. My name is Esther. So one of the major reasons I came here today was because there are certain things that I plan to do in 2024. I mean, there were a lot of ideas in my head, but I didn't really get to execute a number of them because I didn't really have clarity on how to carry them out. So if there's one word I would use to describe why I'm here, it's clarity. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Esther. All right, we have someone.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Olayinka. Why am I here? This year is my first time actually sitting down to plan. I don't usually plan things. I run with them because I can create things instantly. But this year I decided to start to plan things, and I feel like I need a lot of help, navigating that route. That's why I'm here.
Wonderful, wonderful. One more person. All right, Shedrack.
Good morning, everyone. So I'm here because 2025 is a year I set for a lot of things to be done. But there's one thing that I need to get done, like a change of mindset. So I'm here to get pushed, stretched, probably have new perspectives to things, and of course, gain clarity on a lot of areas. Thank you.
Wow. No pressure. All right, thank you. The reason why I asked was to get an understanding of why we're here in the first place. And it sounds like, at least from the 3 responses I've heard, and if we assume that's the bias that everyone in this room shares, we're here for the right reasons. For those of us who have done any form of goal setting before, what has that looked like? Have we done any vision boarding? What has that looked like? What have those sessions we've participated in looked like? Maybe I'll want 1 or 2 people, and especially what worked and what did not work.
Hello, everyone. My name is Oyin, and I was here last year. I did a lot on myself, and I worked on myself. Like 10 of the things I wrote here, I did 8.
Wow.
So I am here to accomplish the 2 and to add more.
Damn, yeah. That's great. This year is your year. Amen. All right, anyone else? What has goal setting looked like for you in the past? If you've ever done any form of goal setting. I know some people have not. Yes.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Monserrat. I actually did finance setting, and It
Finance
works.
setting?
Yes.
Oh, what's that?
Like I had a target for the business and
Okay.
I supersede the target. So I felt like I could do it in all areas as well. So that's what
Why? Why do you want to do it in all areas? Why is that important to you?
Okay, because there's this term my friends use, multi-dimensional pain. So aside from business, I have other things that
Okay.
I do.
Like what? I'm curious.
Okay, I'm a researcher. I'm a crypto seasonal trader, and I'm into real estate, and I sell building materials.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow. Love this. Okay. It seems we have really good people in the room. I'm very excited for this. So, thank you. You can place the mic there. So, a few things I want to talk about before we get into it. We're going to be doing quite a bit of writing. We're going to be doing quite a bit of interaction today. And I'll warn you, the goal setting we're about to do today might not be like anything you've done before. And that might be good or bad, but we'll see. We'll get reviews at the end of this. But before we start, I just want to tell you, personally, I don't like the enterprise of goal setting, which is very weird because I'm here about to lead in a goal setting session. I do that quite a lot. And the reason why I don't is, and even for myself, the reason why I don't is because goal setting is one of the easiest things to get wrong. We get it wrong so many times. You know, a lot of us have wish lists, not goals. If you take an aggregate of very many people, and I'm saying a lot of us, I know we're business owners in the room, and our goal setting is going to focus on us as entrepreneurs, because everything you're doing in your business stems from that. And of course, we're also going to be setting goals for our business. So for the purpose of this exercise, we're assuming that you and your business are one entity in some sense. So very many of us, like I said, we have wish lists and not goals. If you aggregate, and I spend time with hundreds, thousands of young people every month, so I get a lot of insight into what people have as their goals. It's almost the same thing that we all have, but that cannot be the case. If I ask many of you, it's okay, I want to go to the gym 3 times a week. It's always 3 times a week. I want to up my bag and pick a random revenue number for your business. How did you arrive at it? I mean, it's just a round figure. It's 10 million or 50 million or 100 million. And so we randomly set goals, and all our goals look the same. But with goal setting necessarily involves ruthless prioritization, picking something and everything else falls to the wayside. So it would be nice for us to do 10 things, like she amazingly did or almost did. It would be nice for us to do 50 things in a year, but we have to prioritize. We have to save some things for later, and that's what goal setting means. It requires the ruthless discipline to pick 1 or 2 or 3 things and make them priority. And the word priority is, means literally you create a pyramid and something stuck on the top, and those things that are on the top are the things you pursue. It doesn't mean the things that are below are not important, but it just means they are not critically important for you right now. And so your goals are the questions you ask yourself that if I don't meet these things, this has been an absolutely terrible year for me. So for those of us who go to the gym 3 times a week, it's great, but I don't assume that if you don't go to the gym 3 times a week, you've had an absolutely terrible year, except maybe you have some sort of health condition that requires you to do that. So we have, that's the spirit with which we're going to go into today's goal setting session with. And if we can please pull up the slides, because I want to talk to a few things. So a few things that matter very greatly for us today. Please believe that this exercise we're about to embark on is very meaningful. If you don't believe it's meaningful, if you just showed up here today, maybe because you were bored at home and, you don't really go out, and maybe it's a good way for you to go out and meet other people, that's all you're going to get. So you have to believe it's meaningful. And there's going to be a fine line drawn in the middle. On the one side, the results that accrue to people who believe that this exercise is meaningful, and on the other side, the results that accrue to those who don't believe it's meaningful, which is no result. So please, our mindset should be one of expectation. I know there are very many men and women of timber and caliber in this room, but please, leave who you are out the door. Like I said, we're going to be doing a lot of interaction. So engage very mindfully. Be genuinely interested in other people. Listen to other people. You'll be surprised what you learn. You're not just here to learn from the people standing on this platform. You're here to learn from each other. And the goal would be, success for me with today's session would be that I facilitate enough conversations that you all, open up yourselves to each other and you learn as much as possible. And no polished speeches. Don't overinflate your achievement and your goals to make yourself sound good, even though that's not true. Be very vulnerable, be very open, be very transparent, and, tell the truth to the other person. The next slide is very important. So I came up with this pyramid sometime at the beginning of last year when I was thinking about goal setting. I came up with it for myself, selfishly, but I ultimately shared it with other people, and I want to walk you through it. So if you imagine that your life is something of a pyramid that stacks up this way, and the overarching question for you and why you're here is, what do you want to do with your life? Because yes, we have all these endeavors where we work in real estate, we have poultry farms, we work in oil and gas, but those are all means to an end. Or at least I hope we believe that those are means to an end. That is not the ultimate purpose for which we were brought into this world. It is a means for us to attain that. But the problem is, a lot of times when we set goals, we don't have that vision in mind. So at the very top of the pyramid, that is your life and your existence here, is your vision. And your vision is simply the answer to the question, what do you aspire to do with your life? So the answer to the question, what do you aspire to do with your life, cannot be, I want to sell cement, or I want to sell lands and houses. Those are incredibly important, and I'll tell you real soon why. But like I said, that's a means to an end. The overarching vision of your life is something that is superior to the individual endeavors that you participate in on a daily basis. And one of the reasons why we are very prone to struggling with despair, especially when we go through seasons of failure, or when we lose, like when you lose a business, for example, is because you conflate your business with what you want to do with your life. So that's why when you lose a business, people want to jump off a cliff and they feel like they've lost everything and they can't go out to see people because they are so ashamed and they are so terrified. But when you change that understanding and you understand that your overarching vision in your life and crafting that supersedes the individual pursuits that you're undertaking as an entrepreneur, you unlock so much power that even makes your business start to grow faster. So, for example, let's use the example of a doctor, someone who works in medicine and healthcare. The overarching vision for a doctor could be, the answer to the question, what do you aspire to do with your life, could be, maybe I want to drastically reduce the cost of healthcare across the world. And the reason why is because healthcare is so expensive, and most people in the world, most of the 8 billion people in the world, are shut out of healthcare systems and can't access it. That is my vision with my life. And the 80 years or so I have on earth as a doctor is, by the end of that time period, way more people should have access to healthcare. That's a worthy goal to have. Okay, so how do I get there? It now boils down to mission and your goals. So what goals do you set for yourself for success? If my goal is to drastically reduce the cost of healthcare and make it more accessible to, for people, then I need to set some goals for myself. I need to get my MBBCH. I guess that's what it's called. I need to, do a housemanship. I probably need to go work in healthcare policy or work in policy, because the way you create that shift is through policy, through engaging the government. There are very specific things that you set for yourself. You set corresponding timelines for yourself too. Maybe by this age, I need to have done this because, if I'm 45 and I don't have a medical degree, the chances that I'm going to, do work in this lifetime to reduce the cost of healthcare for people is not likely. So you set timelines for yourself in accordance with the overarching goals, the overarching vision, like what you aspire to do with your life. And then the next thing after that is, okay, well, yes, you want to do this grand vision. You have this grand vision of drastically reducing the cost of healthcare. Yes, you've set the goals for yourself. You need to get a medical degree. You need to work in healthcare policy. Maybe you need to work in various parts of the world so you understand how different healthcare systems interact with each other so you can build global policy. How would you go and distinguish yourself? So this is more tactical. How are you going to distinguish yourself? Oh, well, maybe I am going to, my strategy is I'm going to create a social media page and do something like distill healthcare information that's so complex in 30 seconds and make it accessible to as many people. That's going to be my strategy. That's how I'm going to distinguish myself. That's how I'm going to build a following for myself. And through building that following, I penetrate the minds of people. I get the recognition I need. I build a platform for myself that makes me a voice that is recognized. And now I can use that voice to advocate for healthcare. So some of the tactics, we business owners, we do very many challenges. We find unique ways to position ourselves, to differentiate ourselves from our competitors. That's exactly what the question you answer here. How will you grow and distinguish yourself? And then the next thing is, what skills and core competencies do you need? You're a business owner. Well, let me continue to use the doctor analogy. If you want to drastically reduce the price of healthcare, which is your vision in life, maybe you need to get good at public speaking, because to do this, you might need to be on platforms like the United Nations. You need to speak to government. You need to speak to people. You'll be doing a lot of speaking. So you realize that you can't achieve that mission if you can't speak in public. If you're terrified of speaking in public, you're cut off at the knees, no matter how educated you are, no matter how much you know. So what's the equivalent of that for you as a business owner? What are those skills? What are those core competencies that you must have? If you're into real estate, you need to get good at sales and actually get good at sales. Not just talking a lot, but understand, how do the best salespeople work? What tools, what systems, what software do they use to do their work really well? So those are some of the core competencies you have to think about getting really good at. So when we are setting our goals and we say, maybe I want to take a course, I want to attend a master class, that is not a goal in itself. That is a means to attaining an overarching vision that you have. So you see how each of these things, they stack on top of each other, layer on layer, till you get to the very top, which is your vision. And then finally, I believe that most goal setting should happen at the place of values. At the place of values, because you need something that drives you. And your values simply are, why do you do what you do? What do you live for? Why do you do what you do? So for that doctor, it could be, I grew up in a community where I lost so many of my friends because they could not access healthcare. And that drives them. That internal motivation stays with them. Or my mom, I lost my mom during childbirth. She passed away trying to birth me because she couldn't access, good healthcare. That is an intrinsic motivation. It doesn't even need to be that tragic. It could be something positive. I'm interested in this. I'm more interested in this than most people. I'm really good at this, and I've realized that I could use my life as a vehicle. But and I promise us this, if we just continue to scamper in the hamster wheel and there's no reason for why we are doing what we're doing, we're not going to achieve success that lasts a long while. So the best people, the best entrepreneurs that go the longest are people who understand that they do what they do for a reason, that there's values behind what they do. And what does that do? We talked about prioritization earlier. It allows you prioritize. It allows you ruthlessly prioritize. What should I do and not do? Is this in line with my values? Is this new business idea in line with my own life's mission? And I'll be honest with you, I've made mistakes in that regard. I've pursued things that, in hindsight, oh my God, that's not my life's mission. It's so clear. And that's why no matter how much, no matter how successful it seemed, on the inside, it continued to eat me up because I knew this is not my life's mission. This is not what I'm supposed to be doing because it doesn't come from a core place of values. So you're in a position to outcompete most people if what you're doing comes from an intrinsic place of, this is what I want to live for. This is what I want to get known for. This is the vehicle through which I want to create change and attain the vision I have for myself in life. You're likelier to outcompete most people on the basis of that fact. Why? Because when trying times come, you need a reason to continue. When the economy happens to you, you need a reason to continue. I was listening to the comedian Dave Chappelle, and some of us might know him. He was describing comedians that go the long run, people who are around for 30, 40 years, people like Eddie Murphy, for example. And what he said was, when most comedians start out, they start out, in a bid to fill a void. There's, they stand in front of a stage and they are making jokes and getting people to even laugh at them, like, making mockery of themselves, and they want people to laugh. Most times, there's a void they are trying to fill. But, the comedians that go a very long time are those who, at some point in their journey, swap that out for something that is more meaningful and more long-term, like using their voice as a means and tool for social advocacy, for example, for, to make statements, to shape culture, to shape narratives. And it's not just about jokes. It's about why are you telling jokes? Jokes and comedy becomes a medium for something that completely outlasts them. And I believe that completely. That's exactly the case with business. The business people that succeed the longest are not those who are doing it so they can fly in a private jet. No one starts out, like if you start out your business with a bid to, oh my God, like these are all the fantasies I have. I'm not saying that's wrong, and we all have been there. We want nice things. But that cannot be the reason why, even if you're the most selfish person, you're much more likely to achieve your goals when you think about goals from a place of mission. The reason why I'm saying all of this is to just the mindset with which we go into setting goals matters. We can come here and write all these lofty things, but if our mindsets are not in the right place, we've completely wasted our time. So that's why, I decided to show you all this. And it's been very helpful even for me to reflect on why am I doing all the things I'm doing? And is it even important? Okay, so do we have any questions from what we've seen so far before we start to write a little bit? Any questions? Okay, I guess that, yes.
Sorry. Hi.
Hi.
Sorry. By the way, I came here because of you.
I came here because of you.
Thank you. Okay, so here's the thing. I didn't want to say anything when you're talking about goal setting before. I'm a brand strategist, so basically.
You're a what?
I'm a brand strategist.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically, I do a lot of these things for people, but when it comes to myself, it's a bit difficult. So I think that was one of the reasons why I said, I've seen some of it, so I'm like, maybe this would help me. But here's the thing. When you say you have to find the why you should be doing this thing, what if your why can't help you get what you want? Does that make sense?
Say more.
Thank you. So in the sense that, say, there's some of the things you want, maybe those are just things that you like you said. And then there's the things that you feel that you would love to do or you need to do. And it would, maybe like something like a social impact something, I don't know. Like, yeah. What if the social impact thing can't help you get the things that you actually want? Does that?
Yeah, okay, I think I understand you. Are you asking, however you define social impact, what if that doesn't help you get the success that you need and the things, like the tangible material things you want?
Yeah.
How do you know? Firstly, I think we have to refine what we mean by social impact, because it's very easy to, social impact is I went to share food for homeless children. Like, it doesn't take any skill to do that. It doesn't take any skill to do charity in that sense. So you even need to get sophisticated in your articulation of what your life's mission is. And that's something that will probably take some iteration. And I genuinely don't believe, even if what your life's mission is working with homeless children, I don't believe you can't get the things you want in the long term by actively pursuing that. I genuinely don't believe that. No matter what you say your life, think about most of the things that we know today that are means of incredible success, like football. We assume that, the enterprise of football has always existed for a very long time, or basketball. But that's not true. And I was reading about the history of basketball, the sport, and it's about 20 years old. And when it started out, it was a very mindless game that started out as a way to, it was created by a guy named something Nyman, I don't remember his full name now, to domesticate boys in a boys' camp who were just really unruly, and they wanted to give them a game to just engage them so they are not messing around and getting up to all the things boys get up to. But at that time, with starting something like that and then slowly starting to evolve the game and pursue something like that mindlessly, if you were married to that man who, at the time, who was, it's round leather and people are throwing it about, and what do you mean you're spending your life building this nonsense? What exactly does this mean? And of course, 100 years after, you didn't even have to live for 100 years to see how lucrative that is. But think about it. When it comes down to it, what is football? What is basketball? People tossing around a leather ball and, kicking a leather ball into a rectangular iron post. And when they do it successfully, we all scream and we get drunk and we're happy in the street. It's almost meaningless. It's almost a meaningless activity. But it imbues us with meaning. It imbues the people who are doing it with meaning. And someone thought this could be a great way to entertain. This could be a great way to get people to build athletic mastery. So what I'm trying to say is I don't believe that there's anything that you would pursue if it comes from a very deep place that would not give you the things that you want. And you also even have to, what are the things you want? Like, let's say I gave you $1 billion. Seriously, if we could take the mic. If I give you $1 billion, what would you do with it?
Okay, so I think.
And don't try to tell me you do charity. Like, be very materialistic. What would you do with it?
No, my dream car is a G-Wagon. So that's
okay. Okay.
So but I think the main thing is I think my main goal, one of the main things that matters to me is to be very self-independent in terms of financially. Great. So I think $1 billion will solve that. It
will solve that more than you want. So let's say you're self-independent with $1 billion. What would you do with the money?
At that point in time, I really want to empower. I don't want to use the word empower because I want to help women.
What would you do for yourself?
As long as I have the money, I'm freestyling.
You're just chilling, doing, yeah. But what are some things you'll buy? I'm curious. Books. That sounds too good to be true. Not a bag, not hair.
Nah, I'm not.
Not cars, not houses.
Just G-Wagon.
Just a G-Wagon.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So a G-Wagon, let's say you buy 5 of that. Let's say you buy houses in different cities in the world. What I'm trying to say is the things that we want, they get really boring real fast.
Yes.
They get really boring. And that's why, honestly, I pray that every young person encounters so much success so early. So you actually start to pursue success. Because you realize that, okay, a lot of the things I'm pursuing that I think I'll get when I'm 50 and 60, if you have them, you just realize that there's so much life. And maybe, because it's hard to tell people, it's hard to say, oh, those things don't matter. They do, but they are so incomplete. They are so incomplete. And at that point, when you have that $1 billion, you would now realize that, okay, you need to figure out that social impact thing that you say would not give you the things you need. You see that they are of way more importance than you getting that money. And hopefully with money, now you're able to do that in a way that's sophisticated. But chances are, if you don't build that sophistication, that understanding of what you want to do with your life, even when that success comes, you would not know what to do with it. And so a lot of times we have to be very careful what we wish for, because if we get all the success we want, it would sink you right now. So that's why preparing yourself for the success mindset-wise, through doing the exercises that some of the conversations we're having now, those are incredibly important. So I hope you find what that is. I
think it gives me a direction.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? We can take one more before we... Yes. Can we please help pass the mic? Thank you.
Yeah, good morning. It's not much of a question, but something in line with what she said.
Mm-hmm.
So I, for example, I'm an educator. I teach children coding and robotics, and majority of the time I do it as a volunteer, right? In fact, so that I'll be able to do it as a volunteer, I don't do a full-time job, and that means that I earn a lot less than I'm supposed to earn. And I recently got married, which means I have more expenses than normal, and thank you. According to what she said, right now I'm in a place where I need to choose between giving more time to volunteering. And to be honest, I enjoy doing it. In fact, I've been volunteering for so long that I would be hungry. I would rather be hungry and be doing something volunteering. So how do you balance that? My question is still like, how do you balance that, being able to do something that is fulfilling but not as financially rewarding, and yet still be able to, how do you balance it so basically?
It's a great question. It's a great question. And one I think I almost never have a good enough answer that it never comes out the way I think about it in my head, but I'm going to try. So I think you have to be practically reasonable in some sense. Don't keep your wife hungry. You have to be practically reasonable. You have to maybe find something that allows you pay the bills, but mentally, it's almost like giving yourself a timeline and understanding that that's temporary. So I lived in Beijing, China for 2 years. And in summer of 2019, I spent 3 months teaching children debate. I hated it. And I didn't hate it because I love debate. I just don't know how to teach children. Like, I don't know how to. I don't know how to deal with children. And, I did not like it. But the reason why I did it was because the pay was great. So as opposed to you who is doing teaching because that's what you love, I was doing it because the pay was great. And I did not know what I was going to do, like when the next year after when I graduated. But it was a very short-term thing, and no matter how much you paid me, I would not have been able to continue teaching children. No matter how well it paid me. Not because teaching children is not meaningful. It's one of the most noble things you can do. Not because I wasn't skilled. The reason why they paid me so much was because I was really good at teaching debate, but I did it really well. And parents would write me letters and all these things, but I did not enjoy it. So on paper, all of the things aligned. Teaching children, noble. Making money, noble. Are you competent at it? Great. But it just did not align. Like, that's not what I wanted. I did not enjoy it. But I did it for a very practical reason. I wanted to save up money because I knew I was moving back to Nigeria in about 8 months, and I was going to be an entrepreneur. I did not know what I was going to build. I did not know what I was going to work on, and I needed to have some money in savings to allow me, when I moved back, my co-founders and I, we moved to Akwa Ibom, moved to Uyo, to minimize our costs drastically and just maximize focus, so all we could do is work. So that's a personal example of how I practically just did something I did not like for far longer than I enjoyed, to allow me, to buy me some runway, to go all in on the things that I wanted to do. And when I moved to Akwa Ibom, I'm like, it may take 1 year, it may take 2 years, it may take 5 years for me to figure it out. We ended up living there for about 2 years, before we figured out what to do. But I know, again, you're probably not as flexible. You probably can't, just up and leave, because that would be problematic. But figure out ways you can make that practical. But what I would say is, if something is meaningful to you, don't let it go. It's a very rare thing. It's a very rare thing to find something that even sparks something in you. Not very many people have that. So if you're lucky to have that, do everything you can to keep it as close to you. Even if you're not doing it full time, even if you can't afford to devote everything you can, but do everything you can to keep it close to you and make plans to continue to grow that thing. So you're volunteering by teaching children, but you don't if you start with me, I'm sure we can discuss ways you can start to make money from doing that by putting systems and structures in place in 1 year. You don't have to do that as a volunteer. You can start as a volunteer. You won't be as wealthy as you want in the next 2, 3, 4 years, but you don't have to take on another job. It's something that can put food on your table. It is economically lucrative. And I believe that most things we'll do for passion are economically lucrative. Most NGOs can be economically lucrative and can even deliver way more impact than they are. So it's just like you have to up the level of, sometimes I think about it like, okay, if this thing I'm trying to do really small, if Elon Musk was working on that, and I have mixed feelings about Musk, and he's a great entrepreneur. But if he was working on it, at what scale would he do it? Maybe think about it that way for 1 or 2 seconds. How would you take it to the next level? So I don't believe that doing good means you have to play small. Maybe it makes us also feel it instills us with some sort of piety, like, oh, I'm not making any money from this. I'm just volunteering. I'm so pure. I'm so holy. I love these children, and oh my God, I'm going out of here feeling really hungry. That means I'm doing great work. It doesn't have to be that way at all. If anything, you're probably selling the potential of what you're doing short. So there's many ways you can start to make money from that. And your wife will be really happy with you. Yeah. Okay. So, all right, I know there's supposed to be a break at some point, but let's get into it before we go on a break. Do you want to come? So we're good. Okay, so I think there's another document. Do we have printed handouts? Yes. Okay, great. All right, we're going to do some writing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So let's open to, I don't know if the pages are numbered, but we're going to reflect on last year a little bit and think about this personally, professionally, for you as an individual, but also for your business. What do you consider your top 3 achievements last year? What were your top 3 accomplishments last year? So on the left side of the page, list them out. But on the right side, I want you to write out why you consider it an accomplishment. So please just listen to the phrasing of this. So if I bought a car last year and you bought a car, I might consider it a very big achievement, but you might not consider it a big achievement. So why is buying a car a big achievement? Maybe it makes it easy to take your kids to school and do that quickly, and you can get to work early, and as a result, you make more money. It allows you to transport your goods, hence saving cost on transport that you otherwise would have paid. So why do you consider that specific thing an achievement? Why do you consider it a big achievement? So we'll spend about 5-6 minutes on that. Do we all understand the prompt? We understand the prompt, Abby? No? If you don't, feel free to wave and I'll clarify. You don't understand? Okay, so yes. Please, go ahead. Yeah, so on the left, you write out, you just itemize, so it could be bought a car. Then why do you consider buying a car? You go to the next line, bought a house, or whatever it is. Yes. Yeah, yes, last year. Yes. And it's not weird at all. It just reflects who you are. So, yeah, exactly. So, as an entrepreneur, what were your biggest achievements? And again, remember what I said earlier. We're treating you and your business as one entity. We'll take about 6-7 minutes. Are we done? Do we need more time? Okay, so let's flip to the next page. Similarly, what were the biggest challenges you experienced last year? What were the biggest shages you saw? If you need extra sheet here, let us know. So what were they and how did they shape your year? So be very thoughtful about it. In the midst of all the shages you saw, what were the ones that shaped your year the most? Okay, let's take 30 more seconds. what we're going to do now is we will break out into groups of 4. Ideally, 4 people you're least familiar with. It could be people sit down in a row next to you, but if you're familiar with them, switch it up a little bit. And I'm going to allow us self-organize. And what we'll do in that group is we'll share some of these things we've written, our wins, and please let's listen attentively. Let's listen very attentively when other people are sharing. If we have probing questions, ask probing questions. Like we said at the beginning of this, be genuinely curious about other people. A lot of insight, a lot of breakthrough might come from this conversation. So listen, also share very openly. So we'll break out into groups of 4. Groups of 4. Feel free to. I mean, it's okay if some groups are 5 because we have on even numbers. But yeah. Groups of 4. Into these groups, what the task is for us to share our wins last year and our significant challenges last year. That's what we're going to do. So what we've written down. So
Recording in progress.
Olú